Hello and welcome. I'm gonna tell you right now, I got my messy bun going, my workout shirt on, and I just felt called to share something now. So I didn't want to wait until everything was all put together. I got my dishwasher going, I got a washing machine going. All of those things are happening in the background, and this was the time that showed up to do my thing. So, my name is Colette. If you are new here, I'm the Casual Clinician. And my last video that I shared, I talked about what your story is connected to. If you have not heard it or seen it yet, go ahead and go check it out. Um, I've also shared a couple of things in Clubhouse similar to what I'm going to talk about today. But for the month of February, what really showed up was to truly talk about love, our own love, our love of other people. I am not talking about some V-Day, Sweetest Day, or whatever the thing is. Like, that is not the purpose or the impetus for it. But I know that love is on a lot of people's minds, even on the minds of folks who feel like they don't have enough of it or they don't feel connected to it. So, if you enjoy this content for the next couple of weeks of the month, including today, that is what you'll be receiving. So make sure you tune in. So for today, what really showed up was to talk a little bit about our story around love and where it may have came from. So I want you to consider, what is it that you believe created your story around love? What is it that strengthened your story around love? What is it that has sustained your story around love? What is it that maybe changed your story around love? Now, I'm not going to give a pause for the length of time that it would take to truly consider those questions or that question, but I would encourage you to write it down and just start jotting down what comes to mind. What is it that created, that strengthened, that sustained, and or that changed your story around love? Now, the low-hanging fruit is a lot of us know our parents impact how we receive, perceive, and think about love, even as adults. Even when we're trying to do the direct opposite or be the direct opposite, our parents can directly influence what we tell ourselves and what our story around love is. So can our family. So can our teachers, because we spend such a significant amount of time in school. The people who are around us, our friends as we're growing up, especially during our formative years. The media and society can influence it. Our past ancestral patterns can influence our story around love. And again, if you haven't checked out my video about what your story is connected to, I would encourage you, I would encourage you to do so. But there's so many things that can really impact the story that we tell ourselves around love. And when we tell ourselves a particular story around love, that gets stored within our bodies. I'm going to tell you why I say that and why it's significant. I can't tell you how many people I've spoken to who have said, you know, I used to date this type of person. They are not the person that I would want to end up with for the rest of my life. They were not good for me. They weren't healthy for me. Maybe they had patterns and habits and all of those things. I'm grown now. I'm in a better relationship or a loving relationship, or I'm really happy with my life outside of a relationship. And still have all of these really warm and tender feelings about this person who treated me horribly. There's a reason for that. There is a reason for that. A part of what happens within our love story and the way that it really gets into us on a cellular level is we not only create stories about what we believe love is, our bodies, our very being becomes attracted to what we believe love should and shouldn't feel like. Our body gets attuned to excitement and even arousal around people who may do us no good or mean us no good, because on a certain level our bodies have been taught to believe that that is what love feels like. Or it's been taught to believe that if I can just do enough, I can get to the point where they love me in the way that I'm supposed to be loved. On a cellular level, our body gets attuned to some crap. That's really what I'm saying. That's how people can get into a pattern of boring doesn't feel good. That's how people can get into the pattern of thinking that like healthy and functionally developing relationships feels boring. It feels boring because your system is not on fire. And if you've grown up in a family, if you've grown up in a community where love looked like, I'm just going to give a couple of examples, constant conflict and consternation, folks coming and going, or, and when I say conflict, that could mean yelling and screaming and, the crazier quote unquote people get that really means they love you and they are invested. Or what I call Cold War, where when there's conflict or someone's displeased, folks aren't talking and there aren't conversations being had. When our systems grow up in that way, it can feel like that's what love is supposed to be. As children, we do not have a logical, rational thought process around, oh my goodness, that is not a healthy way to deal with conflict, or this is not a healthy way to demonstrate love. Our systems actually tell us, like, well, these are the people who care about us the most, or they're supposed to care about us the most, right? And so that can get encoded in our systems in a particular way and in our bodies in a particular way. Even for people who say, I saw this growing up, or I saw this throughout my childhood in media and family and the community, and I'm never going to be anything like it. Even for people who say that, unless there's some very specific work that's done to change that love story and what's kind of been encoded and what's informed our attachment styles, which we're not going to get into because that would be way too much for this particular video. But unless we've done something to really shift what has been encoded in our bodies, unless we've done something to really open to the fact that healthy relationships, platonic or romantic, healthy relationships may not feel like, fire and movement and excitement or anxiety. And even when we try not to live in those things, we can live in the inside of those things. So as you consider what's informed your love story, I would also invite you to consider, what do you actually want your love story to be? If you could create your ideal love story, how you receive love, what it looks like, what it feels like, not just in your mind and in your heart, but also in your body. If you could create, because you can, if you could create your love story, what would you want that experience to be? From high level mind, right, to heart through your soul. What do you want it to be? Because you can create a love story. I said I wasn't going to go into attachment, but I'm going to mention a little bit of it as an example here. If you are not familiar with attachment styles, you can always look it up, or if enough people are interested in it, comment under the video, and I'd be more than happy to give a quick tutorial about it. It's one of my most favorite things to look at when it comes to love maps and how people direct themselves in romantic and platonic relationships. So if you want a fuller video, comment, and I'll put a little something together. So the example that I want to give with attachment style is, we can come from a very anxious place when it comes to attachment, where we feel like we need a lot of reassurance, we need a lot of love, we need a lot of people telling us that we are okay, essentially. Okay. This is not just in romantic relationships, this is also in platonic relationships as well. And when I say romantic relationships, I mean romantic sexual relationships. I'm a full believer that platonic relationships can also be romantic as well. That's a conversation for another day. And maybe I'll do that at some point too. But just keep in mind with anxious folks, anxiously attached folks, there's this need for comfort and reassurance and pretty consistent validation from other people that you are okay. With people who are more dismissive, avoidant, those are the folks who they may still get into relationships of all types, right? But they don't really get that close to people because there's a hyper reliance on themselves, there's a mistrust of other people. And so they may really have a hard time sharing their emotional life with another person because what is the point, right? And so when I think about when people are trying to create their love story, you have to know what yours is right now because what may feel like the love story that you want may not be the love story that you truly, truly want. If I'm a person who has an attachment style that's anxious, the love story I may think that I want is someone who gives me all this validation and really makes me feel good and all of that, right? But what that person is really asking for is having an internal sense of reassurance. What that person really wants as a love style is to truly be able to receive and hold the love that people provide to them so that they don't have to have it on a constant tap in order to feel it. Does that make sense? So just consider when you are thinking of how do I want my love story to be? What do I want to create my love story to be? You have to understand where it is now because what we think we want may not be what we truly want in terms of a love story. That same thing can happen with people who are more on the dismissive avoidance side of attachment styles. I may say, well, I want my love story to be someone and having a community of people that I can trust and that I can lean into. I want a community of people that can live up to a particular standard so I feel okay with softening. I hear this a lot too, right? Now, I get that. That may be what folks think they want. And the deeper truth of that is you're looking for permission to soften. If that is the love story that you want, and that may be the love story that you verbalize, you're looking for permission to soften. The true love story is in feeling solid enough to just be soft. Being soft doesn't mean that you are unprotected. And believe it or not, that's the place that the dismissive avoidant type attachment style is coming from. There's this feeling of I'm not protected if I'm not hyper dependent and solely depending on me. So it may seem like that love story is I just want people that I can trust and that I can lean into, but that's really asking for permission to be soft and to be open where it's appropriate. The love story that people truly tend to want around that is the ability to soften and to know that they are still protected and okay. So, in this time, even as all the things happen in the world, believe it or not, taking a moment to really evaluate your love style, taking a moment to really evaluate another way of putting it, how you connect with other people, how you receive from other people, how you give to other people. Taking a moment to figure out where that's come from, where it is now, and where you want it to be intentionally and soul truth type level, that is a really powerful way to impact not just your life, but to have it ripple throughout the community. And we need all of the solid love that is out there. I want you to take note that when I talk about love, I'm also talking about connection. And when I'm talking about love and I'm talking about connection, I'm not just talking about from you to other people or from other people to you. I'm also talking about from you to you. I'm also talking about from you to the connection with the land and with earth. I'm talking about you and your connection with source, God, nature, a higher power, whatever it is that you believe in. however it is that you believe in it. When you're thinking of your love story, when you're thinking of the way in which you connect with other people, think about it not just from the outside in, not just from other people or family in, also thinking about it from you to you and from you outward as well. Like I said, if you want to hear more about attachment styles, that is one of my favorite places to play in. Um, like the video, add a comment down below so I can see the interest that may be there, and I will put something together and do a mini flow chat about attachment styles. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, all the things. And I hope you have found this to be helpful. May you connect with the love that you have access to in this moment.